Stop fighting now, Doctor.
Who are you? Where am I?
You think you can navigate all those time streams without anyone noticing? You're fighting a lost cause. You need to stop.
Lost causes are my speciality.
Not this time. There'll be no glory awaiting you on this one.
Oh, you seem to think you're very well informed.
I'm telling you, the damage to time is already done. As intended.
Intended?
The Flux event was spatial. But it was possible it wouldn't be enough. The Ravagers, Swarm and Azure, are rare and useful creatures. Now they have been reintroduced. Think of them as a temporal poison or contagion.
I'm sorry, I'm normally very good at keeping up with things, but you lost me quite early on. Where are we? And how do you know me and I don't know you?
Always the wrong questions. This universe is over, Doctor.
And you get to call it, do you?
Everything has its time. Nothing is forever. Nothing is certain. Not you, and not this universe you seem to love so much.
This universe is home to innumerable species and life forms.
Don't lecture me, Doctor. Not when you should look to yourself. The Flux wasn't an accident. It wasn't a naturally occurring event. It was made. It was placed.
What?
Because of you.
What are you talking about?
All is ending. And don't come looking for this. You can go.
Hello and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast with this review of Once Upon Time.
Yes.
The most latest episode in Doctor Who Flux.
The most
and
latest episode, yes.
It's okay. And my first question for you, Scott, is do I
Yes.
name this episode... what was it? Oh no, I had a really funny joke here. God damn it. Do I name this...
It's a sign of a
I
good
can
joke
remember-
when you forget the joke, yeah.
I can remember the first half of the joke, but not the second bit. Okay, so do I call the episode...
Yes.
This is falling apart on me immediately. Do I call this episode The Doctor versus God, or something else I was going to say that would also be as funny?
Oh, something else I would say that was going to be funny is a good title, yeah. Great title. Rolls right off the tongue.
Oh my god. I had both titles in my head, and both of them are like, those are good titles. This will be a fun bit. Absolutely, just crap the bed. The Doctor fights God.
You forgot your own joke in the span of what, 10 minutes? It's been 10 minutes since the episode finished.
Should have wrote it down. I should have wrote it down. Oh, god damn it. But yeah, so the Doctor fights God in this?
Yeah, she basically does. God's a woman, according to the Ariana Grande song.
Yeah.
Yep.
But this was a pretty interesting episode in that it was almost incomprehensible for about the first third.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, so this episode starts off with the Doctor, as you've written in your notes, moving at super speed.
She really did, though.
She did. She's time slowed down, and she managed to, in the blink of a second, step in the place of Yaz, where the time lady people were, which flung her into the time stream, and also flung everybody else into their own time streams. And so the whole episode, we're flashing in and out between every character and exploring where they are in their time stream, and sometimes they're in the future, sometimes they're in the past, and things get really glitchy and weird. And at one point you've written, which really made me laugh, the Doctor's a Force Ghost.
Yeah.
Which is very, very accurate. We saw Dan flash back with the lady that he's in love with, and they had a conversation about something that I do not remember what they were talking about.
Neither do I, but I just remember them being there. They were talking
Yeah.
about her date with somebody else, I think, and there was a hinge.
Yeah.
There was like a hinge of jealousy there on Dan's part.
Yeah. Well, but I completely forgot. The episode actually opens with the short film that Chibnall made in between this episode, with the lady that we assume is on future Earth, or at least I assumed for all the way up to the end that she was on Earth.
I certainly
I-
didn't.
You just thought she was an alien?
Yeah.
Well, I assumed she was from the future because we were messing around with time, so we were looking at what if the Flux destroyed Earth lady. That was my assumption. So the twist at the end really got me more than perhaps you. But she's on a planet that's been destroyed by the Flux, and it's basically a short film following her as she's like, I've got to survive and dodge the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Sontarans, ha ha ha. And the Daleks, I'm gonna have to rewatch it because it looks like a composition error when they're like, there's a big swarm of them rolling past her on the ground, except they're not on the ground. Every single one of the Daleks is like an inch off the ground.
My presumption is we're off the ground because the ground is kind of rocky. Obviously, we can be on the ground because the ground is not stable.
Maybe, but that's such a weirdly specific choice to
Yeah.
make. Like, why not just make them on the ground? It was super distracting that they were just all hovering, and it made it really clear that, oh yeah, this is CGI Daleks. These aren't real models.
The CGI was not great, and it's like the first shot of the episode, just watching the
Oh, it
Daleks
gets
float on
worse.
by.
It got worse immediately.
Like, I think if they wanted the Daleks to float, they should have been like at least like 6 feet off the ground or something. Like,
actually flying around.
But yeah, one of our worst special effects comes in with the particle effects, and it just blue light basically.
Honestly, it was like watching an episode of Classic Who. Like it was bad CGI for that particle effect. Like it was like flashing back to 2000. Actually, no, even 2005 Doctor Who had better particle effects. Like with the effect with the timeless children, not the timeless children. That's the Doctor with the empty children.
Yes.
When he's like, just this once, everybody lives with the medical androids. That CGI looked slightly better than this one.
Yeah. It very much looked cartoony. It didn't look like a. It looks like an effect you'd put on like Adobe After Effects in like half an hour.
It looked like an effect that was like started but like not finished. Like you'd show it to someone, be like, "This is what it's gonna look like, but I'll tidy it up."
Yeah.
After
But
I guess
Doctor.
it just ran out of time.
But the thing with Doctor Who is, I can kind of forgive it for bad special effects. It's always had bad special effects. It's kind of the charm of the show.
I don't think it's ever been this inconsistent though.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the effects look really, really, really good in this specific series of Doctor Who Flux, and then other times it is really bad. Which is just it's very distracting to have that contrast sometimes within seconds of each other.
I presume part of that is because of COVID restrictions. Like the special effects team couldn't work with the director or editor or anything like that, I presume.
That, and they probably had, a rush time scale and a smaller budget, etc., etc.
Yeah, because
that doesn't stop us criticizing it.
you can tell they kind of want this series to be out this year rather than wait next year to do like a full 10-episode series.
Then we get Jodie moving at super speed, as we already discussed, and also inside the time storm thing, the Weeping Angel showed up.
Yeah.
Which the Weeping Angels kind of show up whenever they feel like in this episode.
Yeah, I don't know how they got in there. I guess they've always been there?
Maybe they came in with Yaz, because Yaz had them, or did Yaz take them back from... How did they end up on Yaz's phone at the end?
Yeah, it's confusing.
Yeah, but the Weeping Angels were in the time storm. And we end up seeing various different timelines occur at the same time as time is deconstructing with time. Time?
The one that got me was like the Doctor's flashback. The entire time I was thinking, oh, Yaz is kind of out of character here. If Dan is kind of out of character too, what's going on? I mean, obviously we find out that they're not Yaz and Dan and Game of Thrones man.
Yeah, me and yourself completely fell for the Chris Chibnall's clever ha 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 marketing ploy, where we were making fun of him last week for, and mainly making fun of the BBC, where we're like, we've clearly just seen that Yaz survives because she's in all this get up with guns and stuff like that. When in reality, it's actually the Doctor's timeless child, while she's a Ruth Doctor timeline, and I guess she's just projections of the people she knows onto the people she doesn't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the projections were happening, but everybody was experiencing them. I guess because time. Why me? Yaz was a police lady in this episode for about 5 seconds.
So was Jodie.
Yes, it was Jodie.
I think the Doctor does more police work than Yaz ever did in like the last 2 seasons.
I don't think Yaz did police work when she was a police officer.
Like we only saw her do 2 bits of police work. Like she did the parking dispute thing in the first episode, and then she got the call from Ryan about the alien pod, and that's all she did as a policeman.
And they've never actually said it, but that was her first day on the job. That's why she's never. We see also Game of Thrones man in his like military-esque type people. He's like having a meeting with a general where they're discussing a promotion, and he's going to be like the personal guard of this guy called the Serpent, who the entire time I was expecting to be a giant snake alien, and I was very disappointed that it wasn't a giant snake alien. That was a tinge of disappointment for me.
It was the dude from Misfits, wasn't it? The guy with the silver hair.
Yeah, who I did not recognize until I read that it was the guy from Misfits on these notes, and I went, oh my god, yeah, it was, yeah.
He's a good actor. He's very good at playing like a scummy guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was decent in this. It's just there was so many plot points in this, I almost forgot he was here.
Yeah, there is a lot of this episode. Like, it just finished like half an hour, like 15 minutes ago, actually. And it's really hard to wrap our heads around what the hell happened, because it's just so much information given to us.
Yeah, and then we also get the reveal that the Doctor's in Ruth Doctor's body, but also Ruth Doctor can talk with Jodie Doctor through the time stream somehow. That was confusing and weird.
That can make sense, at least, because I guess because the Doctor knows time more than anyone else at this point.
Do you know why it would make sense? Because the Doctor's from the planet Time.
Probably.
That's my and I was thinking about this, right? If you're from the planet Time, yeah. What would you name your species? Perhaps the Timeless.
The Timeless, yes, or the Time Lords.
Well, not the Time Lords, but not the Gallifreyan and the Time Lords. I would assume that they kidnapped Jodie in some way. But I specifically Jodie. If you're from the planet Time, where you control time but are outside of it, you are timeless. You are the timeless child. That's my theory. The Gallifreyan Time Lords, I think, maybe wanted to be like the Timeless. I'm just assuming the Timeless are canon now. I invented them. But yeah, I'm still holding water to my theory that the Doctor is from the planet of time.
Yeah, that's a good theory. I think that's a good theory, because it is messing with canon in a major way, but so far I'm on board for it because it's explored properly within these 3 episodes
doing
so far.
They're doing stuff with the Timeless Child that's pretty exciting. Mainly, I just like Ruth Doctor. I like whenever she shows up. I'm like, yay, Ruth Doctor's here. Something weird's about to happen.
I did call that she would come back and she would help the Doctor in some way.
Yeah, we also got the reveal that in that flashback of Jodie as Ruth Doctor, Dan isn't Dan, but he's the dog person that is like imprinted on Dan, essentially, which is a major, turning Dogman into a major character. What's the chances that the Jodie goes and interrogates him?
So at the beginning of the series, did Dogman remember Jodie, or is this Dogman from the future but also the past?
I have no idea.
Maybe
he remembers Jodie, but he's part of
I like how
Jodie forgetting.
I like how we're saying Jodie instead of a Doctor now.
there's too many. It keeps it clear who we're talking about. there's so much going on. At least we can be concise.
Also, does this episode count as a multi-doctor special?
It definitely counts as a multi-doctor story for sure. Yeah. The Victorian man was back as well.
Yes, and I misspelled him as Victory Ram.
Victoriam. He's back, and this time he's got a gun. He's got himself a wee laser pistol. He's in the mines of somewhere.
Liverpool, I reckon. Yeah, he's still in Liverpool.
And he knows kind of what's going on. He says some cryptic stuff to Dan, and then the really bad particle effect interrupts him.
Yeah, he tells Dan that the mites remove people from this mortal plane, which is a very Victorian way of speaking.
Yeah, just like that Victorian laser gun he had. We see the lady from the short film called Belle as she starts fighting off Cybermen. And it's a fun little action sequence. It was a bit jarringly blocked out, and it was slightly hard to follow. But she kills all of the Cybermens, and then has this wee AI robot buddy who we assume is like a robot. I assumed anyway that it was just like a robot friend. I was like, haha, future sci-fi stuff. But there's a really fun twist to that. I really enjoyed the little sci-fi short film Chibnall wanted to write in this.
Yeah, it was I was invested in Belle's storyline, at least.
I liked her as well. I thought she was a pretty solid performance.
And it's weird, because I really expected this to be a big Cyberman episode, but they were only in it for like 2 scenes.
One scene, yeah. I also am surprised that I liked Belle as much as I did, because, and I messaged you this, when she first shows up, I was like, another storyline, just what this needed.
But it's at least gives Game of Thrones man more story arc. What's his name again?
We haven't got there yet.
Was it Vinder?
Yeah.
Something like that,
His name is Vinder, but what's the actor's name?
Jacob Anderson.
That's it, yeah, Jacob Anderson. We've been calling him Game of Thrones man this whole time.
Yeah, in my notes I just write out Gottman. Because I could never remember his name except in situations where I'm not watching a show. Like, I can't remember his name while I'm watching the show, but I can when I'm not watching a show. Does that make sense?
It's because he blends into every performance he does. He becomes the character. You don't see, what was his name? Jacob Anderson.
Yes.
When he's on screen, you just see either Game of Thrones man or Vinder, everyone's favorite Doctor Who character. You've written here in the notes, her sister is back. Are you talking about Yaz?
Oh yeah, Yaz's sister. I wanted her to come back because I was remembering this morning that she and Yaz had a really good scene last season. You know the episode where Yaz compliments suicide in that one episode last season in the flashback. They had a really good relationship going on. I was happy to see her back, even though it wasn't actually her, I guess. It was good to see her back.
They were playing Doctor Who.
Yes, Edge of Reality.
Edge of Reality. They were playing Doctor Who Edge of Reality.
Yeah, Weeping Angel shows up and we're like, ah!
Yeah, although they had the advantage of having a gun that they didn't even... I would have loved it if, like, they just start pulling the trigger and shooting at the Weeping Angel.
But after playing Edge of Reality, Yaz breaks her console. The same reaction I had when I played the game, because it was so shit, and I spent £20 in that fucking game. Yikes.
I did as well.
We should really play it on the channel sometime. That'd be fun.
This is where the Doctor gives the exposition about what's going on with the timelines, where she's like, I've hidden you all within your own timelines because otherwise it would be too confusing, even though it's already super confusing, and I'm currently trying to fix the timelines and blah-de-blah-de-blah. It was vague enough exposition where you could go, okay, I think I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, just basically hide. Where are they hiding them from? The Morai, or whatever they're called, or the Ravagers.
I think they were hiding them from the bad particle effects.
Okay,
that were because they were coming to eat everything that wasn't in its right timeline, and so it was easier to hide in your own timeline than in someone else's.
Yeah. Well, weird shit.
The Doctor... Did you forget Swarm's name? Because you've written Doc speaks to Thanos Man.
Yes, I did.
The Doctor speaks to Swarm as Ruth Doctor, and this is old-timey Swarm when he's in his much better-looking costume.
Yeah.
Do you not think his makeup looked so much better as the past Swarm than it does with modern Swarm?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it looks more heavier and bulkier.
It's more intimidating looking.
Yeah.
Like, he looks more like a scary alien villain than a weird priest dude. I say priest, I mean like prince. Like he's got his weird,
Same thing,
weird
yeah.
crown. Yeah. We also find out about the passenger. There was a lot of passenger lore. The passenger being the dude with the really cheap looking mask that they randomly had last episode. And they contain the souls of people?
Yeah, I didn't quite get that. Again, this is 10 minutes after we've watched the episode, and I don't quite get what's going on with the passenger. It's really out of nowhere.
Yeah, they can hold... Essentially, they can hold different spirits inside of them. And the way that the Doctor defeated Swarm last time was by the passenger having those timekeeper ladies inside passenger, and then passenger released them and they took control of time, is what I think happened. And now in modern day, Swarm has a passenger again for some reason, even though last time it blew up in his face. And he's got Dan's wannabe girlfriend trapped for some reason.
And then they use like the, what is it called when R2D2 uses the hologram? Yes.
Yeah.
A Star Wars hologram.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Swarm also goes on a speech where he's like, time is at war with space. But he like, I've been really complimentary about Swarm's performance. I think he's excellent.
Yeah.
This one monologue here, I think he messed up a little bit, or it was a directing choice or whatever, because he was like, it's a battle between time and space and time, and then he continued to, like, that was two different sentences, but sounded like one, where it's a battle of time and space, time is doing something, but he was like, it's a battle of time and space, and time is, it was like, wait, what? Oh, you said time twice there.
Yeah, I caught that as well. I was a little confused. I was like, oh, there's two times now. Are you talking about time the planet and time the force?
Yeah, that took me a second to realize what he was actually talking about.
Well, what are the chances of Russell T Davies bringing back any of this? Like, will time still be a planet in this new era?
Assuming that time survives the series, because what's the chances that they destroy the planet time or they hide it in a pocket dimension?
Yeah, you're
right. You've written Cubs comes for Bell. What?
Oh, I meant to say Cybes.
Oh, right, the Cybermen stuff, right, yeah. Which we've already spoken about. But back with Game of Thrones man, Vinder, he's with the snake dude from Misfits, and I was eating my dinner when this came up, so I was like half paying attention. So I missed most of what they were talking about.
I was eating my dinner too. I was eating beans on toast, which is a snack, not a meal.
You just contradicted yourself right there. You've just said you were eating your dinner. You caught yourself there.
But I also had like bacon and egg. So
that's too much for beans on toast. I just kind of had snacky stuff. I had cheese and crackers and.
But yeah, but Mrs. Munn basically wanted 5 of them to face justice for their treason, and there's people on the planet, and we were keeping them sheltered. And Misfits Man wanted 5 of them to face justice for their treason, and 4 of them to die in natural accidents like hailstorms or landslides or whatever. Not a nice guy. Not a nice guy at all.
He's corrupted and wanting people to die so that he can do something with something. It was relatively inconsequential, except for the fact that we find out how Vinder ended up on the Starbase Rose, is because he decides to report Snake Man to his general, and his general's like, "Oh well, go away," and stations him on the Starbase Rose, which wraps up that one storyline in a nice little bow.
Yeah, his general, who was also Yaz. It must have been fun for these actors to play different characters. Weirdly.
Yeah. It gives. I mean, it really helps with COVID, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where you don't have to keep bringing in different actors. You can just, okay, we've got our core four. You're just playing different characters.
And it helps give Yaz something more to do when she's playing another character.
This is the second episode, maybe even the third episode. All series, Yaz has done nothing. Last episode and this episode specifically, she has done next to absolutely nothing.
Yeah, all she's really done is been like, "Oh, the doctor, you need to trust me more and stuff." And the doctor's like, "No, I need to go on my own."
Yeah, which we see again a little bit later towards the end of the episode. You've written Ravagers equal temporal poison. Oh yeah, because so the doctor starts talking to God, which isn't a sentence I thought I would say, or at least we assume they're God. My guess is that they're perhaps the person that experimented on the Doctor to make them the Timeless Child, because they were dealing with all these tools and they knew who the Doctor was. Or maybe they're the Doctor's parent, maybe they're time, or maybe they're God. I'm pretty sure they're God.
I think she's more like Madam Web from like Spider-Man. If you're familiar with that character, she basically. In New York comics, she's basically keeping the timelines intact and all that. I think she's more of that kind of character.
Yeah, because we find out a lot of stuff. Like the Ravagers are designed by her to produce chaos, essentially.
Yeah.
And to see destruction, and that the flux was planted by the Doctor. And it was manufactured. It isn't a naturally occurring event, and that this universe is now getting destroyed because it's time for another universe to get made, or something.
Yeah.
Like, it was super weird.
The way you just described it sounds like when DC reboot for comic book universe like every year. We're like, oh, this is a big event. We have to get our heroes together.
What if the universe gets reset at the end of this, and that's why Russell T Davies is coming back, because they're completely resetting the Doctor Who timeline back to the 9th Doctor, or screw it, back to the 1st Doctor, new series, 1st Doctor.
That would be insane, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I would be really upset if that happened, because that's 60 plus years down the drain. Yeah, there was a line from Swarm where he was probably the most mustache-twirling villain he's been so far, where he was like, "Haha, we want to reign in hell," as they disappeared with their Thanos dust. Which is turning... I don't know if I like the reveal that he is just a tool from God to... Like, he's essentially like the devil come in to cause destruction. I thought he was much more compelling as just this arch enemy the Doctor's been fighting forever, rather than him being a puppet of another enemy that the Doctor doesn't even know about, who's God.
I'm beginning to feel this season is a little bit too convoluted, but there's still 3 episodes to go, and hopefully they tie over ends together.
Yeah, I mean, we'll know more. Oh, yeah, by the end of the series, either we'll be like, God, that was like 15 steps to go 3 steps forward. Or it was like, that was a crazy wild sci-fi ride. Well done, Chibnall, you wrote good Doctor Who. Which so far, I think he's, 2.5 are good.
Yep.
Which is a pretty solid batting average at the moment. Also, towards the end of the episode, we find out that Game of Thrones man Vinder is familiar with the TARDIS. And he wanted to pilot it.
Yeah, he basically says, "Oh, I didn't know this existed. Actually, it's more of like he's heard the rumors and
stories
legends
about it.
Yeah. Which is interesting. It's interesting to hear a perspective from another planet based on the Time Lords. Just them hearing rumors and lore.
Yeah, it was interesting. And also we get the reveal that what's her name, Belle, is the partner of Vinder, and she's pregnant, and that's what her little AI thing is. It's her communicating with her unborn child, basically, to make sure it's still alive and still happy, etc. Which was a fun little twist where
Yeah.
it was, he's got motivation now, and they actually leave him at the end of the episode to go looking for his love person.
Him and Dan now have motivation based on love, and Yaz is like, oh, my family, but I never visit. Remember when...
Yaz doesn't have motivation. Yaz's motivation is she wants to have an adventure with the Doctor, and the Doctor's trying to save the universe.
Remember last week when Yaz was like, oh, my family, I need to save them, and then they were dropped, and then the sister came back this week, but it wasn't the sister, it was... Yeah.
I don't remember that at all. But the episode ends with the Doctor kind of telling Yaz off, where Yaz says something snippy to the Doctor, where she's like, how do you know this problem has anything to do with you, Doctor? And the Doctor's like, just shut up, Yaz. Shut your goddamn mouth.
Yeah, it was such a weird moment.
It was why, like, even if it had the problem had nothing to do with the Doctor, why wouldn't the Doctor try and save the universe? Yaz,
Yeah.
what are you on about? But then a weeping angel that's been living in her phone, I guess, the whole time, explodes out and starts to pilot the TARDIS.
I like the angel taking the TARDIS. I think that's a great idea. Like, the angels themselves...
Wasn't that their motivation in Blink?
Yeah, it was. Sure, but
So
now...
that they could feed off the TARDIS. Now
Yeah.
they'll just fly it.
But now...
They were just looking at Joyride.
But now, 14 years later, our plan has been thingied. We're good now. I don't like the angels being an image and coming out of telephones, though. I think that part of them is kind of weak. I prefer them just being statues. It makes them more scary.
But the image of an angel becomes an angel. At least that rule, he remembered it this season. He forgot about it last season, but he's remembered that rule this season at least, and it's somewhat consistent. But that was the end of the episode, and it was a pretty fun cliffhanger. We got the next time preview, and next week's episode genuinely looks very good.
Yeah, it's set in November 1967, and it's got the angels, and there's a small village where villagers are keep on disappearing, and it looks really interesting. It looks more coherent than this. I like this episode very much, but I need to rewatch it to pick up on all the pieces, because it was a lot of lore being spit out at you, I thought.
Yeah. This episode was a whirlwind of information. It was it was kind of like the first episode of this series, where there's a lot going on and you have no idea what half of it means.
Yeah.
And you're just assuming that they're going to clear it up later on. So we've gone from like whirlwind episode to a very grounded Sontaran episode, back to a whirlwind episode, into what looks like it's going to be a very grounded Angels episode, into, I assume, what will be maybe a 2-part finale whirlwind.
It's a fucking crazy season though so far. It feels more like a Doctor Who comic book rather than Doctor Who the show. Like, they're like, oh, we have no budget this season, we're just going to go all crazy. Here's different galaxies and different planets you've never seen before, and we're not going to be set on Earth that much. It's really weird.
It is, so far, definitely the best series Chibnall has written.
Yeah, certainly.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far, and I want to keep watching it every week to find out what happens. I am invested in this story.
It's certainly a big risk for Doctor Who to be telling stories like this, because I've never seen the show do. Chibnall was absolutely right when he said this is the biggest story we've ever told, in terms of the show altogether, I think.
It's very big sci-fi Doctor Who, which is very exciting, because Doctor Who doesn't do... Like, Doctor Who does sci-fi and world-ending and, maybe universe cataclysms, but it never feels as big as this one has felt. Like, this genuinely feels like there's a lot going on. And it's really fun.
I have a question for you. Do you think the Doctor is not active enough in the storyline so far? Because at the moment she's back into position of being like, oh, I caused all of this, I don't know what's going on, I don't know how I caused this, I don't know what's going on and all that, but... It's rather much like the end of A Timeless Child, when she's like, she doesn't know anything at the moment.
Yeah, but I am fully prepared for her at the final episode to go, I get it, and then fix everything within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think she's a more active participant than Yaz.
True, but
That's about as much as. Surprisingly, in the pecking order of the Doctor Who and the companions, Dan is the most active in this plotline. He's going around doing everything.
he really is.
And he's also probably tied to the Timeless Child, since his Dogman is involved with the division somehow.
Yeah.
So, and they took his girlfriend. So, interesting stuff. The opinions on this episode, the early opinions at least, are very split online on this one specific Doctor Who forum. In that it is 8 out of 10 is leading the charge, but only by about 6 votes.
Right.
8 out of 10 is got 17%. 9 out of 10 is in second place with 15%, and then 3 out of 10 is in third place. So it is quite the disparity between, oh my god, this was super compelling, to, oh, this wasn't good at all. Which is interesting, and I think that gap is only going to stay as we get further and further into the deep sci-fi this is, because some people don't like heavy sci-fi.
Yeah.
Some people want a lighthearted family sci-fi show. Other people really enjoy the, here's all this sci-fi lore, go.
It is such a massive tonal shift compared to the last 2 seasons, though. Like, it's a complete whiplash. Like, the last 2 seasons were rather safe. Now here's a story where we don't know what's going on. It's a bit wild.
Yeah, I am very much on board for Flux so far. Surprisingly, I don't think Chibnall has overhyped it yet.
Yeah.
With the things that he's been saying, and he was saying a lot of big things.
He really was.
So far, I don't feel cheated out of anything that he's said.
I'm at the point where I don't know what's going on, but I am intrigued to find out what's happening next. I need to rewatch this episode as soon as I can, probably like Friday night or something.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching the series back in like maybe 1 or 2 sittings.
Yeah.
To just binge it through and experience it as a complete story, rather than having week to week where I can kind of theorize and try to guess what's coming up.
Because to look ahead in our schedule, in January we're doing a big special where we are looking at all the 7 episodes, including these 6 episodes and the New Year's Day special if we get one, and we're gonna be going through the whole thing as one story, which will be very interesting to see how it holds up.
Yeah, it will be indeed. That'll be incredibly long. Yeah, but I think does that bring us to the end? This has been a very short run through.
Yeah, it's hard to find things to say because it's just so much stuff we don't really know what we watched. Really, it's really wild.
I don't know. The Doctor fought God, and that was weird. The Doctor Who timeline. I know I say it a lot, but it really confuses me.
Yes, I know. It's
especially if you consider just this last regeneration with Capaldi. He literally traveled to the end of the universe with me.
with a character, me, not you.
Yeah, I was there in spirit. I felt like I was with him, but and they just somehow didn't experience any of this Flux stuff because the Flux stuff is taking place now.
Yeah, and Christopher Eccleston watched the Earth explode at one point, and the Flux. Yeah, it's really confusing timeline and canon wise.
Doctor Who doesn't have a canon. It has like a vague memory of, these were the Doctors before me, but nothing that they did really counts.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. But hey, that's just a theory.
Oh God, I appreciate Chibnall taking some risks at least, rather than just placing Doctor in the same box it's always been in. This is something new and different, and I'm all here for it, and I'm interested to see how it goes ahead.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. But this coming Friday, Scott, we have a very special episode of Who Watches Who coming out.
Oh God, we do. Yes. Yes, we have. What's the episode called again? The Day of the Doctor.
Yes, it is. We are celebrating the 8th anniversary of the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, which is genuinely what I might call it because it's such a strange title. And it's been really fun to go through and record that podcast. We haven't quite finished recording it yet. We're about halfway done. But that's going to be a really fun one that's coming out on Friday. And of course, on either Sunday or Monday, we'll be looking at episode 4 of Doctor Who Flux, which is titled The Angels Do Something. That's not the title, although I wouldn't be surprised if that was what Chibnall called it when he was writing it down.
The Angels Village, whatever it's called. I know Village
The
is
Angels? Is it Village of the Angels?
Doctor Who Flux episode 4. I'm going to get there before you.
We'll see.
Village of the Angels, yes, you're correct.
Yes, haha, I
Well
was
done.
correct. I got there before
we were
either
both
of you.
we were both correct. You had Angel, I had Village.
Don't steal my glory.
It's a 50-50 contribution.
Sure. If both parts are me.
Ouch.
But yeah, you have that looking forward to. Other than that, Scott, what have we got to plug? This has been Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Watches Doctor, on Facebook at Who Watches Who, on YouTube at Who Watches Who. Podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can follow me on Twitter at Cloth223. And Scott, you have other things to add as well.
Also, if you want to prepare for the next week's episode about the Angels, why not listen to our episode called Blink? We reviewed Blink quite a while back in when did we review Blink? In like August? It's a really good episode. You should check it out. Time has no... I think it was August, yeah.
Blink was the first episode with your microphones.
Oh God, that was ages ago. I think it was August.
The 13th of the 8th month. So yeah, August. Yeah, we covered Blink way back in August. It's a very good episode. So yeah, why not get your Weeping Angel on and give that one a listen?
Well, thing to say. But yeah, if you have any theories or any suggestions of what we could do in the future, just send your email at whowatcheswho@gmail.com. Whowatcheswhopod
whowatcheswhopod@gmail.com. The link for that is in the description as well, so you can just copy and paste it. Or maybe if you click on it, I don't know how things work. But yeah, whowatcheswhopod@gmail.com. Don't listen to whatever Scott said.
That's the first time I've gotten it wrong. I'm usually a person who gets it always right.
Yeah, usually. But thank you very much for listening, and we will see you on Friday with the Day of the Doctor.
Bye bye.